What's going on, people? Welcome to the React Podcast, episode 21. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Richard Bailey.
What's up?
Get direct, I like that.
What's
Gary Swaby.
Hey, what's up? Good to be here.
Jake James Lugo.
How's it going, everybody? Happy to be here.
And Mr. Emilio Lopez.
Yes.
Vocal cord parasites.
Vocal cord parasites.
All right, people. A megaton of megatony proportions got dropped today, man, or yesterday rather, at 1 a.m. Actually, so what technically was today, even though it's Japan, whatever. Anyway, so everybody knows about the Hideo Kojima situation. Back in March, Konami removed his name from all the logos and stuff. It was reported that he was leaving the company. Not officially, right? Everybody was going crazy. Back at the Game Awards a couple of weeks ago, he wanted to be there, because his game Metal Gear Solid 5 was nominated for things. He couldn't go because Konami kind of forbade him. And today, it was made official. Kojima has left Konami as of December 15th, and he is partnering with Sony to make a new game and new IP. Holy shit!
And might I add, we predicted this early on from a couple of photos that they had on their, like he posted a picture hanging out with Mark Cerny. It's like, okay, hanging out with Mark Cerny, that's cool. And then there's another thing where it was like Shuhei Yoshida goes out and says, they're talking about the 20th anniversary of PlayStation and all the great games, and they're like, what were those standout games? Ridge Racer by Namco, and SquareSoft made Final Fantasy VII, and Kojima with Metal Gear Solid. It's a little bit odd.
Usually when you say Konami, he didn't say Konami. He said
he didn't say Konami. He just said Kojima with Metal Gear Solid. And then he also goes on to say, well, have you played Metal Gear Solid 5? It's a really amazing game. Just a little plug in there. It's like, why would you go that extra step?
Because something was going on.
Something was going on, and I have a feeling something was going on even before that thing in September. They were talking.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Frozen? Let it
go. And then today, IGN had an interview with him, and so basically he said the reason he partnered with Sony, and by the way, a couple other companies came to him. They offered, like, hey, you want to work with us? He chose Sony over all of them because the relationship they've had for the past 10 years, they've been very close and stuff, and he feels that he would be comfortable there and he could do the kind of games he wants. And obviously he wants to create a new IP. He wants to make the new studio a smaller kind of venture, not something big, and they're just going to focus on a game right now, a game. They're not going to focus on games, and they're not going to focus on other things at the moment. So it's just, the whole thing is just very interesting, but let's get some of our individual thoughts in here.
Also, may I add, on the article that actually expounds on that a little bit more, they talk about the engines that they're going to be using. They haven't decided whether they're going to be creating a new engine or using an existing engine. To be honest, obviously if they have the guys there, if they're able to retrieve all the guys that they lost or replace all the roles that they had, they can obviously go to make a new engine. But I mean, Unreal is free.
Yeah, well, the thing, I'm glad you bring that up. If you see the job listing, one of the requirements is that Unreal Engine 4.
Yeah.
So they may do that. They may just be like, okay, let's just use Unreal 4 and get that stuff out there. But
Unreal 4, you can definitely make something really nice very quickly.
Gary, go ahead.
Yeah, I think what they'll do is they'll start out using Unreal for their games, and then they'll probably also build their own engine in the background, kind of thing, as like a just a little side thing, just so they have like their own engine and build it up slowly, because building engines takes a long time, and they wouldn't be able to turn around games fairly quickly. So they'll use Unreal for now, I think, and then build their own system.
Oh, definitely. Because I mean, look how long it took them to make the Fox engine. That was years. Like, literally at the same time that Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, it was back then. Even like right after Peace Walker, that's how long they've been working for that with that engine. That's like, what is that? When did Peace Walker come out? I can't remember. It's been like 4 or 5 years, at least.
Yeah, I mean, somebody joked, it was like, oh yeah, when's this game going to come out for the PS5? You know, because they were just assuming that they're going to start fresh for the new engine. No, they're not going to do that. I predict this game, whatever it is, will be in 2 years. But I have a prediction of what the game could be, but I don't want to get into it right now. But Gary, since you were talking before, why don't you give us your thoughts on this announcement?
Yeah, I think it's the perfect deal for Kojima. I like the fact that it's his studio, it's independent, so he's in control. He doesn't really have a boss. I mean, I don't know how deep the Sony partnership goes, but he's not actually an employee of Sony. He's just doing a deal with them with his studio. So I like that.
Also, I think that the way Sony kind of treats, a lot of their developers is like musicians, where essentially they don't have any real effect over the product. They just want them to make it. That's why you have so many games at Sony that are taking so long to make. Like why it's possible to have, Gran Turismo's take 4 or 5 years in between iterations, or even The Last Guardian for however long that thing has been in development.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I think he'll have the freedom he needs as well to, do all the wacky things he wants. I guess the only real concern is the budget, what budget he'll have.
Yeah, we'll have to see about that one. JJ, man, what are your thoughts on this? Mr. Lugo.
No, I was just my mic was muted before.
It's all good. So yeah, what are your thoughts, bro?
So basically, I think this is probably the most fit. This is probably the one thing that probably made the most sense. It was a good fit. Sony could definitely help fund a game, that he makes with them, or at least, in partnership or whatnot. I think it also makes the most sense that he was going to go make his own independent studio. What I am curious about, though, is the Kojima Productions name, because that's interesting where he was able to kind of keep the name or whatnot. I wonder how, the whole dealings with that between Konami and him kind of went down, because I was expecting that once he left, the Kojima Productions name, that would be kind of like gone. He would have to like start up a new company underneath a different banner or whatnot. It's kind of cool that he gets the new logo and stuff like that. That I think is pretty interesting and such. One of the interesting things that he mentioned during his interview with IGN is that he's interested in VR, but he doesn't think that the technology is like up to par right now, and it needs some time to kind of germinate. Like, it would be kind of interesting to see what kind of like cool ideas someone like Kojima, using that type of technology, what kind of experience can he really give us? Like, what would a Kojima game be like in VR?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I have a speculation on that one. But Richard, get in here, man. What are your thoughts?
So when I heard this announcement, or rather I saw the video, I think it's excellent. It's a great deal for Sony and also, PC players, because we already know when they come into Xbox, which is a thumbs up in many people's books. But, here's the thing, though. I'm glad that Kojima finally has freedom to explore and actually do what he needs to do with his studio, because in that video that I saw earlier today, this guy looked like shit. I mean, not shit.
Oh, man.
He just looks, it looks like,
he looked rugged, man.
He's been through hell, and everything that they said about all the stuff that Konami was doing, I believe all of it. But man, the guy looked horrible. So, normally he's clean cut, shaven. Not so much this time. I expect him to have happier days ahead.
Damn. Hey, man, I think he's keeping the beard, though. If you saw the IGN video, he's cleaned up, but he's got his little thing going. But yeah, it's cool, man. I want to speculate on what type of game he might make. Jumping on what JJ was talking about with VR, right? This is what I think is going to go down. Because remember, Guillermo del Toro said, hey, I plan to work with Kojima again. Obviously, they were working on Silent Hills until Konami scrapped that whole thing. So I speculate that the next game he makes will be very much in the vein of Silent Hills, but not called Silent Hills, obviously. They don't own the IP. Because Konami doesn't own the rights to a scary game in first person.
Nope.
They don't own the rights to that. So he can make something, take the core ideas of the game and just, make a game out of that. And if you put that in VR, remember how scary PT was? Imagine that in VR. You will have a heart attack. This thing needs to come with like heart attack pills or something, because people would just be dying, But
it'd be kind of like The Kitchen.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's like, oh man. But the thing is, going on what you said though, given what he said about VR, maybe that won't happen right away. I didn't know he felt that way about VR. It's very interesting. Did they have any more information on that, Jude? Or was
Well,
that
he
all
did
he said?
mention a few things on there that the technology needs time to kind of like germinate. He thinks that at least in its state right now, especially like involving like the headsets and like how bulky that technology is at the moment, he thinks that it's not feasible right now. He can't really promise anything at the moment. Like he goes obviously into more detail about that. It's like what, like a paragraph or two or such. But I think that given maybe another 5 to maybe 10 years or so, I think obviously for him he might like play with the technology a little bit more, and then as it develops a little bit more, maybe it gets smaller. Maybe instead of being giant goggles, it turns to like glasses or something, a la like Google glasses or something like that. That maybe at some point maybe we might be able to see him kind of like work around with that a little bit more at some point.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because the technology, even though it has a lot of promise, it still isn't like solid yet. Metal Gear Solid. Manny, what do you say, man? Next game.
Well, I mean, you already took my answer because I was saying that shit from the beginning. But yeah, I mean, being that there is that, and like, I don't. One thing I know for sure, it's not going to be a Metal Gear game.
Oh yeah, no,
It's not going to be. I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there that are gonna be like, oh my god, he's gonna make a stealth action game. Nah, he's gonna stay away from that shit, and he's just gonna do whatever he does. I don't know what he's gonna make. See, seriously, because if that Bakhtasai game or any of the Snatchers, if you've ever looked at any of the games all the games he's made in the past, each one of them is different from the other. The only difference, the only similarity, at least between the Metal Gear games, is that they're stealth action games. But even them, they are different from each other. So like you look at his first game, which is like a penguin, it's like a arcadey type of game, Penguin Adventure. Then you look at Metal Gear. Then you look at Snatcher, and then Bakhtusai, and then the other one, Police Knots. Each one of them are different sorts of things. So who knows if he might just go some other different direction?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Just because he can.
Yeah. Go ahead, dude.
Let me ask you this: did everybody get a chance to check out the Kojima Productions' new website real quickly?
Yeah, I looked it over a little bit. Yeah.
There's a thing in there, if you look at his mission statement, it's in both English and Japanese. So if everybody that's listening in, watching the actual React podcast, check that out. Or if you're watching this on demand later on, go check it out. I mean, you can find it everywhere just by Google searching it. But there's a whole mission statement on there that I think not only has a really strong subtext about everything that's happened now at this point, but I have a strong feeling that something in there feels like it's going to be relating to whatever Kojima's next project is. I mean, if you look at the logo, it has a lot of kind of like elements to it that's a little bit similar to some of the Metal Gear logos that he's done in the past. Like specifically, I can't pronounce the name, but it's like one of the Outer Heaven logos. Like not the actual Outer Heaven logo, but one of the other ones.
No, excuse me.
The Militare something.
Yeah, it's a Frontier
or
something.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's not that. It's MSF, so it's Militaire.
Yeah, Militaire.
Military Sans Frontier, I think it is, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. But anyway, there's also a thing in that same mission statement called Homo Ludrin, which means those that create. And there's a really interesting couple of statements in there where he's talking about how, those types of people or those types of entities or beings are not limited to the boundaries of like what's come before or what's been placed on them for like all this period of time. Again, there's a very strong subtext there that I feel like we don't understand because we obviously don't know the full story. But it seems like something there, was a very direct type of statement. And I think that, whatever you see next from Kojima, whatever his next project is, whether it's a horror game, whether it's a VR game, whether it's something that's completely outlandish from Metal Gear, like from what we're all used to, it's going to be something that we've never really seen before. And I think that we're not going to get it, for a long time until we finally get that final project.
Yeah, that's a good point, though. You're right. Because remember, Kojima is a master of hiding things in plain sight, right? I think you hit it on the head here. This is exactly what's going on. Even the logo could be alluding to something too, because it's like a skull with like
skull and armor.
Yeah, it's a skull and armor, but the armor is, like he said, it's supposed to look like a knight's armor and a spacesuit at this combined, like the past and the future. So there's probably a ton of subtext in there. That is, again, right in our faces, but we don't know yet because Kojima, he does this sort of stuff. And this is part of the reason we love this man, It's very deep stuff, but yeah, I guess, man, you're right though. We could speculate, but we don't really know what type of game.
We don't know what he's going to do because we're only thinking in the confines of what he's done.
Yeah, exactly. And we know time and time again he has always broken out of those confines, always, consistently, He's very good with that, with the whole meta thing too. With Metal Gear Solid 2 and 5, especially, he might do something like that with this game. The whole game could be something like a message about his whole ordeal or whatever. But again, we don't know. But I'm personally very excited because we all know Kojima is a very talented guy, but he's been restricted to make Metal Gear games, even though they've been great, because Konami wanted that money. That was Konami's bread and butter, basically. Metal Gear. Now that Kojima's out of that, I think we're going to see some amazing stuff, and Sony is definitely the right place for him to do this stuff. And by the way, I should mention, though, the game is still coming to PC, people. Keep that in mind. Richard, what do you say, man? The future.
Well, I do think what you guys said. I know you said that we don't need to see another Metal Gear. Well, he's probably not going to do that. I have to quote, though, Joe Killer had an excellent idea in the chats. He said they should give him the Siphon Filter IP. I would love to see that.
I would be cool too, but I don't think he's interested in remaking something that's already been established. I think he wants to make something totally new.
Yeah.
Let that man play.
Because it's essentially just jumping back into the same boat he'd been in before. Essentially doing an established franchise and stuff like that, which he of course established, but still doing the same thing. I think it'll be a new idea. It'll be something that's just been waiting in the wings that he's been wanting to do.
And me personally, I want something new. I want something to be, what the hell is that?
That's weird. Well, not really weird, but I think that kind of makes the most sense. And I look at it the same way like I would a Hollywood director, because I feel like that's what Kojima's always been trying to do with a lot of his stuff. You can find that in all the Metal Gear games, outside of like the obvious and such. Like there's a lot of stuff. He knows movies, and like he's a big movie buff and such. And I look at it the same way as like, okay, you wouldn't really take someone like, just to throw a name out there, like, because J.J. Abrams is hot right now with Star Wars. Take someone like J.J. Abrams, or take someone like Guillermo del Toro, take someone like Quentin Tarantino, and then kind of restrict them to like one specific type of like movie franchise or movie property. It's put all these restrictions on them. They've already proven their worth with their body of work. They've already done stuff that's not only shown that they could really kind of understand that medium and like really play with any sort of like world and characters that they're in there. You want them to kind of just do something and let them just give it to you like that. And I think that's what the whole mindset behind Sony is, as far as like working with him in Kojima Productions.
Yeah,
like,
that's probably why he went there.
His thing.
Yeah, that's why he went there, because he knows they're gonna just, okay, do your thing, Kojima, do your thing,
And make us fun his games, which I think the funny thing is they said in that interview that he got a whole bunch of calls from overseas companies, and I'm pretty sure Microsoft called into him.
Oh
as
yeah,
well as, like, other places, like Activision and EA, like a bunch of those big major publishers and companies. But I think that not only the relationship with Sony, because it's been built over so many years, and obviously it being like a primarily Japanese company, and in some retrospect, I feel like that's going to be the most comfortable spot for him.
Yeah, the other thing I want to touch on that he said in the interview was, he's like, Sony is a global company, and I want them, and they help me become a global entity. Remember, a lot of Japanese developers, or not a lot, but a good chunk of them, they don't really have that Western mindset. Kojima has always had that. He knows Sony will give him that. There could have been other developers that wanted to, maybe Bandai Namco came, right? But, they don't have that kind of money like Sony does. And that's something I said too earlier. Like, whoever he goes to is going to have a substantial amount of money to give him what he needs. Because some people are speculating he's going to start a Kickstarter or something. It's like, come on, Kojima's not going to go to Kickstarter.
He's not going to go for that.
Come on,
I wouldn't put it past him, because so many people that have left such big companies like that have gone that same route. So it only felt natural for something like that to happen. But I'm glad at least that's not, at least for now. I mean, we could hear something from now to like E3, and something all of a sudden, guess what, guys? I'm kind of want the brand new Kickstarter, and people will fund it like immediately.
Yeah.
Now, because it's Kojima. But at least back then it was natural, that type of progression.
Yeah, but the Sony thing makes more sense to me. That definitely makes way more sense. Gary, what do you say, man, about the future of Kojima Productions?
I think he's gonna make a game where you have to essentially take down an evil and controlling organization. I don't know.
Who only wants the same thing out of you?
Question.
Go ahead, Rich.
That subtext.
Is the name of that company going to be Crap Nami?
That's funny you bring that up. I want to know now. I mean, I'm pretty sure we might hear something within the next couple months or whatnot. What's it like going on the other side of the camp?
Ooh,
like,
yeah.
and, you know, something, and I don't mean that in a way like as far as like looking at the drama with popcorn and stuff. I mean like what's going through the mindset now, obviously, of the people that are working the PR at Konami. I'm not talking about the executives that probably made all these decisions about what was going down and barring him from the Game Awards and stuff. I'm talking about the people that obviously are doing the PR for Konami. You know, what is it going to be like for them? What is the next step for them now in the wake of all this? Because obviously in the Kojima camp, it looks like things are looking really up, really good.
Yeah, Manny, I want you to jump in. You could actually answer this question because you've
Well,
talked
I
to.
mean, I've had a lot of contact with Konami. I mean, a lot of the, at least most of the social networking team and a lot of the other guys over there, they've been really good about it. Like they haven't been like, they've been kind of embracing a lot of the fans as well. I mean, it also helps their image as well. But I think they've always been like, I had one conversation with one of the employees, and he's just like, listen, I would love for I personally, this whole situation hurts me because it's the place that I work, and it's the guy who makes one of like pretty much my favorite games out there. If I could have it my way, I would, I wouldn't want them to fight. It's to be going through this. I wish it would just be like, he'd be just continue to do what he needs to do for us forever. But I wish it just didn't have to go down this way,
Yeah, so that's probably how.
And I think
yeah,
a
right?
lot of I think a lot of them feel
Remember,
that.
he said that they felt like it was like your mom and dad getting a divorce. That's how
Exactly.
they felt.
That's exactly what he said, and it's like I think that's what a lot of the feeling is for at least from the Western side. I don't know anything about the Japanese side. For all I know, they probably are ridiculing him or whatever they do over there. Personally, I feel like they, whatever it is that happened with this whole situation, it was definitely personal, and it seemed more vindictive than it needed to be.
Yeah,
And
for
you know
sure.
something? That brings up a new question. Do you guys think that sometime next year we're going to find out what happened?
I don't know. I think he's going to
No,
be
next year. Next year, I don't think he's gonna. I think we're gonna find out about it in the future, but I think it's still too close to the event. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love to find out exactly what happened, but I don't think Kojima's just gonna say it all right away.
And you know
Do you
something?
think they
I would be with you on that. I would be totally with you on that if it wasn't for the fact that they barred him from going to the Game Awards. Because I really feel like, and a couple of people have said a couple times already, that more than likely that type of action for that was probably because they were fearful he was going to go off the rails. Like, I really think that was probably going to be a thing.
But he only actually left on the 15th officially, I think, and
Yeah.
that was after the Game Awards, so they could still control him then. But I was gonna ask, do you think he's got a gag order on him, like
He could.
what's her name from Naughty Dog? She wasn't allowed to
NDA?
speak.
You mean an
out.
NDA?
No, a gag order. He's talking about like he cannot speak about it until
Oh,
a
like, you
certain
can't
point in
talk
time.
about it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think so. That's what I'm saying. I don't think a year. Like, I think in the future for sure we're gonna find out. Because Kojima is a pretty straightforward guy. He's pretty honest about stuff. I mean, he even said in the past, like, oh yeah, Konami kind of doesn't want me to do certain things. Even when he was working there. So I definitely expect him to say something, but just not anytime soon. Not within at least next few months. Maybe at the end of next year, after a year has passed, but not too soon. But I think it'll happen, and that's where we're gonna hear some very interesting things.
I have a feeling we're not going to hear it from him. I feel like we're going to hear it from like a completely other source, like a third
That's
party.
true.
Someone's going to break that story after talking with not only just the American part of Konami, but more specifically the Japanese side. Because I'm pretty sure the Japanese press right now knows stuff off the record, kind of like how we do here in the American media for the games media, like that. I'm pretty sure that it's known out there, at least in some fashion. Maybe not the full story, but there's stuff floating around out there, and I'm pretty sure that eventually all those pieces are going to come together.
Yeah, and if it comes from a third party, then we won't have to wait that long. It could happen tomorrow for all we know, So it'll be very interesting. But right now, this is a hot story. So, yeah, in that context, it could be a third party, divulging this information. It could come very soon, sooner than we expect. I think you're right. People know what happened. It's just a matter of putting all these pieces together and all those pieces coming to the light,
Also, let me add that also I'm not sure if Shinkawa walked off, but I knew that Ken Imazumi had the same sort of contract where it would end at a certain time.
Yeah, there's like 3 of them that went with him. Because they had that big photo that they posted up recently on their Twitter and stuff. It was a big thing, like where there was like 2 or 3 other people coming with them.
Yeah. So I would like to see a lot of the team there. I would love to see Sean Icestone and all the other guys that who are all over there, jumping over as well.
Yeah, I guess Kojima's vacation's over, right? Remember
Yeah.
that shit Konami said, man? Like, wait,
Well,
he's like he's just
Hell
on
of a
vacation.
he's he's here's the thing: when you're employed and you know that your last day is coming and you have vacation time and you don't need to be there, you just eat through that vacation time. I'm sure Kojima has amounted a huge amount of vacation time, from working there for as long as he did. So that's what he was doing. He was just coasting and burning through vacation time.
Yeah, who knows, man? But yeah, that oh, man. All right, I think we pretty much covered all the main things. Are there any final thoughts, Richard? Any
I-
final thoughts on this?
I'm looking forward to whatever he makes. Don't know what it is, but probably won't be out for a long time.
How long do you suspect? Like,
Uh,
if you have to guess.
if I had to make a guess, I would say maybe 2018. That will be a somewhat of a guess. That is something you can look forward to hearing about at a future E3 Sony conference. I don't think that's going to be next year, but maybe the year after. You never know.
Yeah, or PlayStation Experience. I'm actually with you on that one. 2018 sounds like it's far from here. It's not really. It's only 2 years, So I kind of agree with you on that. The time frame, earliest 2018 for sure. Jay, final thoughts, man.
I'm kind of in agreement with you guys a little bit to an extent. I think that maybe come this coming E3 in next June, I think it gets teased, whatever he's working on. He'll probably do kind of like very similar like what most companies do now, like maybe just show a logo and like
Yeah.
talk about it very briefly as like a little surprise at Sony's conference. I'm excited about it. Console exclusive to PlayStation, at least for a time or whatnot. I think that's pretty dope. After seeing like most of this unfold out, granted we still don't know the full story and stuff, I feel like this is kind of like a good epilogue, even though it wasn't the best of ways for him to kind of leave Konami as it is. But PlayStation has a good person underneath their belt, or at least working with them like that, and it's a good way to kind of end off all the drama and stuff that Kojima's gone through over the last couple months. So I wish him the best, and I hope that whatever he makes, I'm definitely gonna buy it. I'm pretty sure everybody on here is gonna buy it. It's gonna pick it up.
Yeah.
More than
Hell yeah.
likely. I hope whatever he makes is like on a grand scale and like to what exactly he wants to do. So that's what some of the best work comes from. Sometimes from the best directors that are out there. When you give them the toys and you just let them play, they come up with some awesome stuff.
Yep, that's true. Gary, man, what do you say? Final thoughts?
It's I know that Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain has been out for a while now, and we all beat it by now. But I think now more than ever, it's finally hitting home that we're not going to see no more Metal Gear again.
Yeah.
At least not in that, in the Kojima kind of way. I don't know if Konami has plans to bring it back, but if they do, I don't care. I'm not going to play it. So yeah, it's really just hitting home now that we're not going to play that series again. But I'm excited for the future, and I want to see what Kojima's going to do next, because he's a man with ideas, and he's got a lot of creativity. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to come out with next.
Yeah, for sure. Manny, final thoughts. Final thoughts.
I look for. I've been waiting for this for a long time. I mean, me being probably a really big Metal Gear fan here, I'm fine with all the way this has kind of gone. Well, other than the horrible, getting blocked from, all kinds of things and, gag orders and stuff like that. But I've always wanted to see what he could do, more of what he could do, what that wasn't Metal Gear stuff. And I'm glad that this kind of can happen where he can actually be free to do what he wanted to do as opposed to just kind of, checking boxes.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I echo a lot of your thoughts right there. It's just like I'm a fan of Metal Gear more because of Kojima than the actual. Even though I love Metal Gear franchise, it's really because of Kojima, what he brought to it. So
Yeah.
to see him actually branch out and do something really creative outside of those restrictions, I think we may get something just really really unique, something that's never been seen before. So I'm really looking forward to that. And as far as the final Metal Gear goes, as soon as this was announced back in March, basically, I had already resigned myself. Like, okay, this is the final Metal Gear game. So even though, let's just be honest, Metal Gear Solid 5 was definitely hurt, especially that second act, because of all that internal drama, it is still a great game, and I'm happy that's the final Metal Gear. And just like Gary, That's it. That Metal Gear is done to me as far as I know they're going to come out with another Metal Gear. They already said they are. It's done to me. You know, that's the final one, the actual final one. Because you've been telling me it's the final one for years. That's the final Metal Gear, and that's fine for me because that closes the door on that chapter and opens the door to something new and probably pretty spectacular. So, yeah, I think the way it all went down was kind of fucked up, but I think in the end we're going to get something. We're going to get something that's really, really powerful and great. So I'm happy. And that's pretty much that for, I guess, the final react, unless some shit happens next week of 2015. Thank you guys for watching. Once again, I was Tony Polanco, and tonight I was joined by Richard Bailey Jr.
Have a good evening.
James Lugo.
Stay epic, everybody.
Gary Swaby.
Yeah, peace out.
And Emilio Lopez.
The legend has come back.
All right, guys. We'll see you around. Peace.